Today, I come to you with some incredible Spider-Man news that will bring a smile on your face if you're a Marvel fan. But I'd ask you to take all of these scoops and rumors with a grain of salt. And a spoiler warning, as I'm about to unveil some of the future projects Marvel is currently working on. So without any further ado, let's begin. First things first, Norman Osborn. We know it's been officially confirmed that Alfred Molina and Jamie Foxx are returning as Dr. Otto Octavius and Electro respectively. Alfred Molina has also confirmed that his character will pick up from where we left off back in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. When he asked Jon Watts, the director of No Way Home, how the movie would bring Doc Ock back, Jon simply told him in this universe no one really dies. So it's pretty safe to say Electro will also come back in a similar fashion from Andrew's universe. Alright, so now that we know Dr. Ock and Electro are coming back, it only makes it fair if Willem Dafoe's Norman Osborn comes back as well. The reason we're so sure that Marvel is definitely bringing Norman Osborn to the MCU is because of the recent deal between Sony and Disney. At this point, you probably know that Sony owns all the rights to Spider-Man, Norman Osborn, and almost any character strongly related to Peter Parker. That's why no live-action Spider-Man films are available at Disney+. Rather, you'll find them on Netflix. But under the new contract between the two studios, all future Spider-Man movies starting from 2022 will now be available on Disney+. Well, there's a little bit more technicality here. The deal actually looks like this. A Sony film releases in theaters. After 9 months of its release, it goes to Netflix and stays there for 18 months. And after that period is over, that film now goes to Disney+ and will remain there. So instead of making their own streaming platform, Sony is playing it smart here. People are not gonna subscribe to any more streaming services. Paramount Plus and Discovery Plus are already struggling. So instead of making a service and losing money, they're basically going to be free agents and work with all streaming services. They can make shows with Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Disney, and whatnot. They can license their own library with whoever they want. It's the reason why they're able to do a Silk show on Amazon and Last of Us on HBO. Now, what this deal essentially means is that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is here to stay in the MCU, which opens the door for Norman Osborn. Now that we know how Marvel will get access to Norman's character, let's talk about how he might be introduced in the MCU. Now, spoiler warning, whatever I say next could turn out to be true and ruin your future MCU experience, so you've been warned. And if it doesn't come true, what's the harm in discussing it anyway? So the idea is, in Spider-Man No Way Home, Tom Holland's Peter Parker will find villains invading his planet from other universes. There he will encounter Alfred Molina's Dr. Octavius and Jamie Foxx's Electro. Now, long story short, Tom's Peter will fight them with the help of 2 other Spider-Man and will win. Now, Tom's Peter will begin to research his Earth's version of Norman Osborn after fighting with Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. But there's a twist. He's seemingly not an awful guy. He has political aspirations, makes charitable donations, and even supports the Avengers. They're playing up the idea that it's a different Earth and no villain or hero is guaranteed to be on the same path. That means MCU's Norman Osborn from the Prime timeline will be different, as opposed to Norman Osborn from Tobey's timeline, and will be played by a different actor. Marvel has offered the role to an actor who has not accepted the role yet. This actor is a prominent New Yorker who has history with Marvel Studios. When or if the deal is finalized, we'll get to know more details. What Marvel has wanted to do is explore Norman more, without putting him in a goblin suit. At least not right away. They want to explore the good side of him before he turns himself into the Green Goblin of the MCU. So this will take place in 3 to 5 years, as Marvel begins to set him up as a major villain for both Spider-Man and the Avengers going forward. This wasn't the case until last week, but now that Marvel and Sony have a new agreement, it's all coming together and the motion is set for the arrival of Norman Osborn in the MCU. Now, everything that I said is based on a report from that Hashtag show. I'll provide the link in the description. And that's why I ask you to take all of this with a grain of salt, as none of it could be true. But that's the fun of it, right? We fans will keep theorizing and Marvel will keep surprising us with every new story. Sometimes we'll like it, sometimes we won't.
Boner.
Now, another report from Mikey Sutton says that Peter Parker will face death in his college years in an upcoming Spider-Man movie. According to the report, Aunt May will be the one Peter loses. In all the previous live-action adaptations of Peter Parker and in the comics, he always lost his uncle Ben Parker. Peter then learned his famous lesson: with great power comes great responsibility. But in the MCU, it looks like he's gonna lose Aunt May instead. Apparently, Kevin Feige wanted a different approach. Therefore, we never really got any reference to Uncle Ben, except kept his initials engraved on Peter Parker's suitcase in Spider-Man Far From Home. That's the only existence of Uncle Ben in the MCU. But we've been loving Marisa Tomei's portrayal of Aunt May since Captain America Civil War, so losing her would not only hurt Peter Parker as a character, but the entire audience as well. The report says May will perish either before or during Peter Parker attends college. In other words, it could happen either in Spider-Man No Way Home or in the fourth film. Spider-Man No Way Home underwent several script changes already due to the global pandemic and creative reasons as well. For instance, Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock was an initial in this movie, but COVID-19 pushed it back enough that Marvel Studios had the Daredevil rights back from Netflix, which enabled them to include his character in No Way Home itself rather than waiting for a fourth installment. So the bottom line is this: No Way Home would be an epic journey for Tom Holland's Peter Parker. He will become a man from a boy. Now, just to clarify, one thing here is that because Spider-Man No Way Home and Venom Let There Be Carnage are coming before 2022, so both of these movies are not included in the new deal, which means both of these films will head straight to Disney Plus after finishing their theatrical run and won't go to Netflix at all. The deal is only applicable to Sony films released after 2022. So if you have watched the entire video, you can now figure out how essential Spider-Man is gonna be in the long run. One of the reasons Marvel just don't want to miss out on this character is because Spider-Man is probably one of the few characters that even general audiences enjoy, not just the comic book readers. And honestly speaking, it's gonna be one hell of an experience seeing Carnage on the same platform that holds my favorite cinematic universe of all time. And that's it. This would be my breakdown of the recent Spider-Man news, and I hope I was able to explain it so you can understand without going through all those articles. But still, give those articles a read if possible, as the scoopers are really doing their best to get us this inside info. I posted all the links in description. Now if you like this video, then please give me a thumbs up and grab the subscribe button if you haven't already. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter to get updates about my videos. Till then,
we are Venom.